What we'll be building today. This is a news application built with React Native. This is fetching real-time data from an API. You can click individual news and takes you to that page where the news is. Yeah, so this is for BBC News. I can go back and you can search for different categories. So let's go for entertainment. It gives you entertainment news. I can go back. I can hit the mini button here, and if I go and hit general news, it goes to all the news which is general. I could also go back and I can search for specific news. So let's hit camera, and the camera news is appear. So this is what we'll be building today. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's do this. So open your terminal to get started. Let's cd into the directory where I want to create the project. So in my case it's cd dev yt, and here let us create our expo app. I don't remember the command. If you do, you're a mutant. I'll search expo router, and let me go to the second link here, and this one right here. I'll paste it right here. That should create an expo application for us. The name will be news native yt creative. I know. So this will get all our dependencies installed for us. Let us wait for some time. And okay, so it's created now. Then let me cd into news native yt, and let me open my VS Code here. Okay, let me just resize this perfectly. Okay, cool. So as we'll be using TypeScript, you'll have to create a tsconfig file. So just in your terminal you could type tsconfig.ts. That should create us a tsconfig file here. Then just type npm install. That will install our dependencies. Then let's start our server to check, and expo has detected TypeScript, so just type yes and it'll install all the types for us. Cool. And yeah, if I go and check, it has created the files for me. Okay, it was tsconfig.json. Let me just delete this. It is not ts, but it still worked. Thank you, expo. I'll move to trash. I'll change this to index.ts. Let me, for just the initial config, I'll just open the web, and that will build the project for us. Okay, so initially it might take some time because it's building this from scratch, but later on it will be much faster. Okay, so it's created it's built the app, and this is what I'm getting in my browser. So it's asking me to create an index.js file in the app folder. So I'll just click this. That should create an app folder for me. Yeah, tsx. Yeah, it's created that, and we'll need another file which is called _layout.tsx. RAFCE. Here is my snippet. that'll be a layout, and in here we'll be using something called, okay, this is not a div, this will be a stack from export router. So stack is basically used for navigation between different screen, and you'll have to mention it here under the layout. This will be changing later on, as we'll be using that drawer which you saw initially. Let's save that, and that should get everything ready for us. Cool. So next, let me hide my terminal and let me create a new file called mock data. So let's call it test data.ts, and let me paste some data in here. You can get this from the GitHub link which I'll be providing below. This is basically because initially when we are developing our application, I don't want you to exhaust your API requests from the news API which we'll be using. So initially we'll be using this, and towards the end we'll connect our API with our application here. So once you've created this, save it, and then we can close all this and create a new file called theme.ts and export a constant called colors, and in here we'll create a couple of colors which we'll be using throughout our application. So let's head over to Tailwind. Don't worry, we won't be using Tailwind, or be worried, whatever you feel like. Then let's search colors. I'm using their color palette because Tailwind's choices of colors are really good. They've got beautiful shades of different colors and makes choosing colors very easy. So just copy the gray 500, come here, and you will need this extension called Tailwind Shades. Okay, and you can see the command here. For Mac OS it will be Command K and G together, and for others it will be Control K and Control G. So this will create all the shades for us. So I'll just paste in the first one, I'll highlight this, now Command K and G, and it creates all the shades for us. And I think the name was wrong, so I'll just keep it as gray, and let me just double check whether it's the correct one. 500 #6b720 80 #8. I think it's a little bit different. Okay, anyway, next is red. We'll be using red as well. So let me go to red here, copy the 500 again, and just paste it here, highlight it, Command K and G, gave me, okay, this time it accurately gave me the correct name. And one of my all-time favorites, which is Zinc 500, copy it right here. Let's see whether it gets it right again. K and G, it did not. It has some kind of weird obsession with indigo color. I'll save that. Okay, so these are the three colors which we'll be using, and next is the sizing. The export const font size, and here we'll create a couple of ones. So text XS, which will be 12 units, text SM, which is for small. If you are familiar with the Tailwind, you should be knowing what these stands for, but if you don't, these are basically different sizes which Tailwind uses. So for font size of extra small we use 12, and SM for 40. These are the values which I got from here. So if I go here and type font size, I basically copied these sizes so that I could use them throughout our application. Next is base, which will be, I think, 16, and next one is text LG, which will be 18. I'm spoiled by Tailwind's beautiful choices. That's why I keep you going back to their form of units and all. But for now, I found, like, if you're wondering why I'm not using native Win for this project, I was about to, then I thought I haven't really used vanilla CSS in this YouTube channel, so why not, right? So I created this one. So, okay, LG XL and 2XL. 2XL will be 24. Okay, with this our themes is also done. I can close that out. I think we are done with this as well. We can close this out. I'll close my browser. I'll close this out. Come back here. Resize this for my terminal, and I'll just stop my server. So before me actually opening my emulator, let me resize this to 14, because I forgot. Some of you mentioned that the size of the text is way too small, so let me correct that. And now let me npm start. This time I'll start my emulator. So let me show you the options which you'll be getting here. So if you're new to React Native, you can build this via you can build this like you can get the initial demo of your application by scanning this QR code. So I believe if you're using iPhone, you can just scan this and open the Expo, and if you're using Android, you'll have to install this Expo app and then scan this QR code. So in my case, I'll be using an emulator, so I'll just open via emulator. So in my case, and that will open an emulator for me. Okay, keep this up here. Hopefully this is good enough. Okay, it'll take some time to open. So while that's opening up, let me just show you how I will be structuring my application. So let's go to XLE Just taking some time. Okay, so this will be our application. So we'll have 3 components, which is this one, top headline component, these categories, this is scrollable, and this component, which is AllNews component. And these 3 components will be in a scroll view so that you can scroll them. So this is how we'll be structuring our application. So yeah, hopefully by then this has already created. Okay, it's still not doing, it's still getting created. So while it's doing that, let me change this to home. Actually, I'll delete all this out and just go RAFCE and snippet from my snippet, and I'll rename this to home. Save that. Okay, I probably shouldn't be doing this while this is building. Okay. Let's just wait for this to completely get built. We probably be getting an error because I've used div here, and it's 97 bundle. Okay, so it's build the application for us, and this is because there's some I've changed it, but let's just hope it'll work once I save it later on. I'll rename this to something called safe area view, which will be coming from React Native, not types. And this as well, safe area view. So this basically, safe area view is a React Native component which basically takes consideration of the notches and all, and will place the elements based on the notch of different application. That's what I understand from what safe area view is. So in there, we'll create a stack.screen, and we'll probably have to import this. So this will be coming from Expo router. Let me just check whether IntelliSense will work. Yes, it's working. Stack.screen. I'm getting an error. Let's provide some options. options so that we can change the header of this. So under the options, create an object, and in there we'll be changing the header style. So go to header style, and that will be an object which will be a background color of, let's say, colors dot zinc, and we'll use a 900 shade, a darker shade. And then next is the header shadow visible. Header shadow visible will put it true so that we can see the shadow. We'll save that. It should change some things. It's building. Text string must be rendered within a text component. Okay, let me see what the problem is. This appears to be correct. Index.ts is correct. Okay, let me just put this, give a text here just for checking purposes, and this will be coming from React Native. It's not giving me the suggestion. Text, and I'll just type in hello. Okay, sorry, this is a self closing component, so I'll just, okay, I think that was a mistake. If I save it now, let's see. Requiring unknown model. If you're using model exists, try restarting metro. You may also want to start. Okay, probably some bundling issues. I'll stop my server. This is very common when it comes to building React Native applications. So npm start. Okay, it actually asked me to install it, but let me just check whether this works. I'll close this. It's a bit buggy. I'll close that, and I'll open my emulator again. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I've restarted my application, and yeah, it seems to be working. So sometimes when you're building the application, you might have to, close the application and restart the server, then it works. Okay, then let's continue. Next is a header left. Header left. So header left is basically this, what we want here. So header left, this will be a function, and this will be a function, and in there we'll bring in something called feather. Feather, and if you want to know what feather is, let me close this and go to expo vector icons here. So if you want to use vector icons in your React Native application, Expo provides us with their icons, so you could just search some. So let me type in menu, and let me pick one which I feel, okay, this one, feather, right here, and gives you the code from where you import it. So I'll import that. Okay, copy that again, paste it here, not here. Feather, let's feather, the feather component will have an on press. So on press is basically like on click. I'll just console log out menu, and this works in a similar way as how on click would work. So if I press this icon, it should log out menu, and on press the name will be menu, and colors, color I want it to be white, and let me just give another attribute called style. it should, okay, because I've put a comma here. Fine. So this side will be having a padding left of 20, so that looks a little bit better. Save that, bring my app back again, and it seems to be refreshing. Yeah, it's right here. You can see it's way too small now, so for the size, I'll give a size of 24 would be appropriate. Yeah, it's bigger, so I gave a padding of 20 here. So we'll do something similar for now the left side. So if this is closing here, right here, header right, it's not this. This will be a function, and we'll be having a component called search. I won't save it right now. Let me just complete this. And header title. So this will be the title which will be appearing here. Title. Forgot the comma. Header title will be news. And we'll also change the color of that title which will be present there. So header tint color will be white. And now let us create this component. So create a new folder called components, and in there let me create a new file called search.tsx rafc, and let me just give a text here. Should be coming from React Native. Text, and I'll have to import this as well. So I'll import, and I'll save everything, and hopefully everything works. And you cannot see the text maybe because of the color, or actually you can. I don't know whether you can see through the screen, but there is actually a text here. So let's create this now. So in here, let's rename this to view. So view basically works the same way as a div. So think of this as what a div would be in a web application. So view, and inside there we'll have a text input. So this is like the input field in the web applications. So text input, and we'll also have something called, we need a search icon here. So let me go here and go back, go to search, and which one looks good? All of them look good. Let's just go with this one. I'll copy this and I'll paste it right here. I'll copy this as well. And let me go back to my emulator so that I can see the changes being made. Save that. Here there's an icon. Now we'll have to correct that. Correct the size. Size is fine. And the color will be white. Save that again. Yeah, it's come up. Now we'll have a couple of attributes here. So we'll have a style attribute. I'll call styles dot input, and styles should be styles dot search prompt. I will have to create the style. This will be coming from React Native. Actually, the style sheet will be coming from React Native. Style sheet, and we can create it right here. So const styles and style sheet dot create, and in there we'll have a container which I haven't created yet. So let's do that. So styles dot container, and let's change the flex direction to row, and next is align items to center. Next is a gap of 4, and a padding of right. We'll keep 20. There's the container, and next is the input. Okay, this won't be having a style, I'm sorry about that. Input will have a width of 100%. I don't know why my code whisperer is not working. Let me just control option C. Sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, it's not working. Anyway, okay. I think it should start giving me. Sometimes when AWS code whisperer doesn't give us the prompt, just hit command option and C, and it starts giving you the prompt from some reason. Okay, this will be 20, and next is the background color will be white, and border radius, so that looks acceptable, 10. And let me save everything so that you can see something. Okay, so it's way too big now. We'll correct that later. Padding right of 4. Okay, what's the problem? Okay, maybe probably because of the width, it should be 50. That's much better. And this will be row, align in center, input. Everything seems to be correct, yet it looks odd. Let me go back here, save everything. Container, flex direction, row, gap padding, center height, background, border radius 4. Okay, we'll fix that later. Now let me create an on press for this. So whenever this is clicked, this should appear. So on press, okay, this is actually on change, sorry, on change text, and I'll have to create a state for that. So use state snippet, and I'll call it, let's say, search. Set search, and initially it will be empty. Should be coming from React. Add import from React, and we'll give it here. So when you're when you're building React Native, you don't have to give that e.target.value. You could straight up just give set search. Makes it very easy, and value will also be search. Okay, thank you, Code Whisperer. And feather, we'll have an on press here. So on press, and I'll create a function called search prompt. Okay, let's create a function for this. So nfn search prompt, won't be receiving any parameter, and in here we'll have another state. So use state snippet called toggle, and initially it will be false, and only if this is true, only then I want you to render something out, and that something will be the text input. and here we'll say toggle. If it's true, set toggle will be down here, and this will be opposite toggle, and I'll also set the search to empty. So if this is true, I want you to push to search screen, and I'll just say to do, so that when we are building this later on, I remember that we have to do this. Okay, what's the error here? Is that fine? The problem step somewhere here. Okay. Save everything. Okay, now it's properly formatted. Fine. So let me check. Okay, this is a little bit weird. I guess this is because of the stack which we put here. Later on we'll be using a drawer, so we'll fix it at that time. So right now we'll just keep it at that, just to remind myself. I'll just comment here, and I'll just say fix flex. Yeah, let's save that. And let me go here back to index.tsx. I'll remove that, and I'll also put a style here. So I want the background color to be a bit different, so not this color zinc 800. I'll save that. Okay, so now in here on the safe area view we'll have a scroll view. So scroll view from native React Native, and inside there we'll have three components. One is the headlines, and the next one would be categories, and the next one will be AllNews. Don't mind the spelling mistakes. And then let's start by creating our headline component. So let's go to components here and create that component, head lines.tsx and rafc, and in here we change this to text from React Native. Text, and let's bring it in here now. So headlines, I'll save everything. We should be getting a text now. Yeah, you can see it here, and there's a background color as well. So now let's start building our headline component. So in here, headline component will be a touchable opacity. So this is, again, consider a touchable opacity as similar to what a button would be. Touchable opacity, and this has now completed for me. Touchable opacity, and we'll have a image here. This will be coming from React Native. Okay, no suggestions. Image, and I probably should be giving it a source as well. So source, that's not what I want. Escape. This will be an object URI. We'll have something in here. So image, we can probably change this to self-closing tag image, and then we'll have a text, and we'll also have, this will be the title, and we'll have author, we can probably give it some styles. I'll go back to search, copy this, paste it here, import style sheet, and we can have certain changes here. So container, I'll remove all this out so that I don't make any errors. Image, I'll take all that out. We'll have a text, we'll also have author, and we'll have a broadcaster. So now I can start by giving the styles here. So this will be a container, style container, and image will be styles image. Oh, Code Whisperer is working properly. Style text, nice. Oh, style one more time, come on. Author, very good. And inside this we'll have a nested text. So author, text, style, come on, one more time, broadcaster, good. Okay, let's change this text. Okay, I think we probably can bring our data in now. I'll just save everything. I'll bring in the data. So if I go, okay, where's my data? Test data. So we can probably bring our mock articles, this one right here. So if you're bringing in this, we'll have to create types for this. So for that, let's create a file called typings.d.ts. and inside here I've already got a couple of types which I've created. Didn't want to waste time in there with types. Save that. Okay, and we'll go back to index.tsx. we could probably import it now. So import from dot slash test data, and I can bring in the mock articles. Now in here what I could do is, let's say, what is this? Okay, so top headlines, we'll give it a prop called top headlines will be mock articles and only the first data. So when we are fetching the data from the backend, the first headline which will be getting will be placed here. Okay, so let me go back to headlines and give it some props here. So type headlines props, and this will be top headlines, and will be type article. Now I can destructure it here, top headlines, and this will be headline props. Cool. Then let us put the URI. And okay, so in sometimes the test data, the images, where's the image here? This is sometimes null. Okay, rather this URL to image is null sometimes. So if it's null, we want something else to be rendered out in the image component. Also, it will be just blank here. So let's go back to Mozilla and just say image preview, and let's search for something, a good placeholder. So for now, let's just put this. This looks good. It's fine. I'll just copy image link here. I'll put this one, copy image link, and I can give a condition. I can conditionally render out something here now. So let's say if top headlines dot URL to image is equal to null, then I want to render something out, else render top line headline URL to image here. So I can put the image link here now, paste it. Okay, next let us don't mind this, we'll fix that. What is this? Cannot read URL to image to undefined, URL to image. Just put this. Okay, we'll fix that as well. Or probably we are not rendering out the article. Let me comment this out, save everything, and let me check whether we are actually getting the data. So CLG top headlines, I'll open my server and save. Okay, it's undefined, we're not getting anything, probably because I forgot to save it. Okay, now I'm getting it, fine. Always check. I think now there shouldn't be any error. Okay, it's nothing's being rendered out, probably because there's no height and width for the image. We'll be fixing that. And we'll also give a resize mode of cover, and text title will be top headlines dot title. This will be author, and in here we could give top headlines dot author. Save everything, and we are getting something here. Now we can start styling it. So let's say flex direction, column, and background color, we'll give it a gray, so it will be coming from colors dot gray. It will be 100, width will be 100%, and let's say margin bottom of 5 and border radius of 5. Let's save and see what happens. Something we're getting here now. Next is height of the image. So height of the image will be 200, and I want to stretch the image out to the size of the these bezels here. So for that, there's a property called align self, and align self is stretch. Let me hide my terminal. Save. Okay, now we're getting something here. Align self, stretch. Next is the text, padding of 4, font weight of bold, and font size, okay, comma, always forget the comma, font size of, okay, we'll be using our custom created one. So font size dot text 2xl, and next is the author, font size again dot text sm small. Let me save to see how it looks. Okay, it looks much better. Padding of 4, and font style of italic. Last one is a broadcaster, which is font weight. Let's give it a bold, and color of, let's, instead of primary, let's give a red, and the shade will be 500. So okay, much better, it looks good now. So with that, our top headline is done. Rather, there's one more missing component attribute, which is on press. So when a user clicks this, it should redirect them to this news article. So on press, I'll say a router. We'll have to create this, so let me create a router now. So const router, which will be getting from use router. So now I can push the user to that page. So router dot push to top headlines dot URL. Save that, and if I click this now, it redirects me to that that URL. So with that, top headlines is also done. I'll close everything. I'll go back here. Let me go to index.tsx and let's start creating our categories. So let me go to my components, create a new file, categories.tsx rafc, and we'll change this to a view, and this will be coming from React Native. Save that, and I'll bring it in here. So categories, I'll save that, and we're getting an error. Text string must be rendered. Yeah, this should be inside a text. Anyway, we won't be using this. So what we will be using is something called flat list. So we'll see what this is in a moment. Flat list, and this will be a self-closing tag, and for this you'll have to give in a data. So that data will be certain categories. So categories, const categories, which will be an array. So we'll have a category called business, and entertainment, general health, science, entertainment, health, science. Okay, entertainment, I'll put this here, so the business, and next will be general, this up here, general, health, science, entertainment, and let's say sports and technology. Okay, so this will be giving it to the flat list now. No, actually before that, let me create a style so that I don't have to manually come back again. Const style, I'll go back to search, copy this again, paste it right here. Okay, paste it. Okay, seems it's not working. Let me redo that. Copy this, paste. Good. And this will be coming from React Native style sheet. Okay. Okay, now the arrows are gone. We'll have a list, we'll have a button, we'll also be having a container, container, and lastly we'll have a text. Okay, so now we can start giving the flat list some data. So I'll give a style first. Style styles of dot list data. Okay, it's actually, let me hide this now. What is it rendering out? Let me key extractor. It's actually doing pretty well. Okay, so basically we're giving it some data, which is the categories, and to access these strings we use the render item, and inside that you can render something else. So we don't need a view in something else, which is a touchable opacity, so that it is clickable. Touchable opacity, and this will have certain properties, which should be styles. Styles dot button, and on press I want you to push the user to that category. So router, which we'll have to create now, use router. Let's create that. Use router, and we can push the user to that page. Router. We haven't yet created that this page screen yet. We'll be creating that later on. So this will be a dynamic one. So news / item, that seems to be correct. And then we can give a view again, and inside the view this will have a style of styles dot container, and inside that we'll have a text. Okay, the suggestions doesn't seem to be working, so I'll manually import it. Text, and let me give a style text item. Okay, that's what I wanted. Item. Okay, view touchable opacity. Let me save this and see whether the errors are gone. Okay, so here we're getting something now. So right now it's in a column state, and I'm getting an error because you cannot have a scroll view and a flat list which is in the column direction, like which is in the vertical direction. So if I mention it as horizontal, I should be getting it in the horizontal action. The error is gone now, and I'm having a horizontal flat list. And I can give a shadow horizontal. I don't want that. If you can see here, we're getting a scroll bar here. I don't want that. So shadow horizontal, is my suggestion. It's called shadows horizontal scroll indicator. False. Why is there an error here? Probably that might go away soon. Content container style, I want a column gap of 6. Let's see, I don't know why that. What is this here? Shadow. Am I missing something here? Why am I getting a error? Okay, I think it is shows horizontal indicator. Okay, yeah. Now the thing is gone. Fine. Next is there won't be a button. Okay. So let's just style the button. So padding horizontal of 7.5. padding bottom of 2 and border width of 1, border radius of 5, and background color of colors which we created. I want the gray, and the shade I want is 100. And then let's go with the text and save that and see what we're getting. Okay, much better. Let's go with the text. Font weight of bold and text transform, so that I want it to be in uppercase, and padding of 10.5. Let's save that and see how it looks. Okay, it looks much better. That's fine. I think with that we've done our categories component. Next let us go with the next component, which is the AllNews component. Okay, so actually now that I look at it, there seems to be something funky here. I think this should be not uppercase but capitalize. Okay, and I'll save that. Okay, now it looks much better. Fine. So now let's create our AllNews component. So here, all news, TSX, RAFC. I'll change this to a text. It will be coming from React Native, not types. Save that. Instead of this, I'll render that out. Save that. Get rid of the spacing here. Okay. Now let's start building this out. So instead of text, we'll be using a view. It will be coming from React Native, and say the view will have to actually pass in the data in here. So here, the news, I'll call it news, and this will be mock articles. And let me go back here. I'll have, okay, instead of creating a type here, I'll just create it here itself. So news, and this news will be of an array of, let me actually go inside and say news article, and it'll be an array of this. So now all the arrays are gone. Let me save everything. Okay, so now inside the view, let me go to the style part, so I don't have to come back. Just copy this, come here, paste it right here, bring in style sheet, and let's say we have a list container, and we'll have a image. Let me remove all this out, and we'll have a article container, or rather article info container would be more appropriate. Info container will have a title, we'll have, I'll just clear this out. Let me go back here, Excel draw. Okay, we have an image, we have the title, author. Okay, that's fine. Let me minimize this. So title, then we'll have a article author container, and author, and finally we'll have a date. Fine. So now we can start giving the styles also simultaneously here. So we'll say news map article. Okay, thank you. This will actually be not curly braces, but it'll be this one right here. Okay, I think I'm missing out something. Okay. So now, okay, fine. In here we'll have a touchable opacity so that each news is clickable and will redirect me to that page. Touchable opacity. Inside there I can give it the style here. Before I'll have to give a key as well, because just like how React works, you'll have to give when you're mapping through something, you'll have to give it a key. So I'll take the index of each and give it here. Key is I, and the style will be style, it'll be a list container. Okay, and on press, you see what's given us, pressed. The on press, I want you to actually push it to the item. So router dot, I have to bring this now. Fine. So let me create that. Router is equal to use router, and I can just push it now to the, not this one, it'll be just the article URL dot URL. Okay, so that's done. Next is the image, which is coming from React Native, will be a self-closing tag. This will have a style of styles of image source. Let's try this, what it's giving us. Source is URI. Okay, actually we'll go back to headlines and we can copy out this, the same thing. So I will just take the URI, this actually the entire source, close this, go back to here, paste in here, probably getting an error. I'll change this to article, this as well, article, and that should work. Okay, so source is done, and resize mode, let's give it as a cover. And next is, let me save everything, see what we're getting. Nothing here. Fine, let me go here, create a view, and inside the view this will have a style, article info container. Let's have a text as well, and this will have a style of style text, number of lines 2, actually 3. I'll say what this property is shortly. Article title, yeah, this is what I want, and I can remove this. Okay, so number of lines is basically when think of it as a trunket, if you know what trunket is. If the title exceeds 3 lines, it just gives a dot dot dot. That's what number of lines does. So I want only 3 lines to be rendered out. So text, and inside in here we'll have a view. The style will be styles dot article author container. Yeah, I think it's because I've already built this application. AWS knows what I want. That's why it's so good for this application. Text, styles author, and here again I want the number of lines to be only 1, and here I want to render out the author. And item, not item, it's actually article. Is the item or an article? News. Okay, it's an article. You know what, I'll actually change this to item so that it is consistent throughout the application, because when you're using flat list you use item, so I want everything to be the same. For that, let me just change everything to item. This should be now item dot author. Okay, text, and again the style will be styles dot date, number of lines. Actually, this time I don't want any number of lines. We'll render out the date. Let me save everything. Okay, something is up here. It's reformatted everything now, and this will be a new date, because this is a date, I want it to be changed to toDate string, and this will be a function. Save that. There is a curly brace error here. Let me see what that is. I save that. Okay, now let's give it some styles so that you can better see what's going on. List styles, so flex direction, row, and padding of 4, and gap of 6. Save everything. Okay, much better. Now once you put the image, it'll look much better, I guess. Hey, height is 100 and width also I want it to be 100, and border radius, so that's a little bit rounded, I want it at 10. Now it looks better. Next is article info container. We'll change the background firstly. So background colors, I want it to be a shade of gray, 100.100. Yeah, and flex of 1, so that grows. Flex direction column, padding of 4, border radius of 10. Nice, that looks much better. Title, font weight of, let's say 100, no, rather bold. Font size of what we have created, so font size dot text sm, and padding horizontal in the x-axis of 2. Okay, and next is the article info container. Margin top, I want this to be put down, like there's a little bit spacing here, no? So I want to put it down. So for that I could just go auto. Margin auto, and font style of italic. Next is, I'll save that. So it's this part is pushed down now. Next is the author. Font weight of, let's say 500, and date, save that again, and the font size here will be font size text SS, and color of colors gray for rather 600. Okay, so this is also done. Now I can scroll it. If I click, it should redirect me to the relevant pages. Okay, so with that we've completed the initial UI of our application. Now I think we can finally start bringing in the data from our API. So for that we'll be using a React query. What we'll have to install that. So npm I react query. We'll be fetching data with the React query. If you all don't know, React query is a very powerful. Let me actually close this. As I was saying, React query is a very powerful way of fetching data. It allows us to revalidate data easily, and there are tons of tutorial out there on how to use this. But I'll show you the basic use case on how to fetch data from the APIs. So since let this finish installing, we'll also be needing something called React native.env. So with this we can protect our API keys. So I want you to install this one next. I'll install this, and when you're installing this, there is some additional configuration should be made, which is right here. I'll copy this out. Modules, okay, it's still here I think. Copy this, go to Babel config.js, and let me put it right under here. And since these two are deprecated, I don't need it. Save that. Okay, so I think with that our React native.env is also installed. Next up is to get React query quick start. Probably have to give a provider or something. Yeah, so let's go to our layout in here, and inside here let me get this. I'll copy this, I'll remove that, paste it right here. What's the error? File and add stack. Okay, installation, probably install the wrong dependency. This one right here. Okay, so while that is being installed, let me go again to quick start. I'll create a query client constant, and then we'll have to provide the query client provider. Let me give some parentheses, save everything, get this, I'll get rid of that. Done. Now let me, since we've made all the changes, let me go back here. It's disconnected. Let me, so that we don't get any errors, I'll just clear everything out. I'll start my server again. npm start. I'll open the emulator with the I key, and that should open it up right here. So while that's being loaded, next up is the API we should be using, which is called news API. If I go here, it's API, go to the first link right here, and I want you to sign in and basically get your API key. If I go to the pricing here, for developers it's $0, and I think I'll go with 24 hours, 100 requests per day. So yeah, every day you get 100 requests. So let's go to the documentation, and here are the endpoints. We'll be needing the top headlines. So this is the endpoint. Next, once you have your API key, go here, create a .env file, and I've got mine here since I've already built this application before. news API key. I'll save that. So once you've done that, go to your git ignore and just mention .env as well here. Save that. Now that highlight is gone, so it's ignored. We will remove everything. Create a new folder called API. And under that, let me create a new file called fetch top headlines. I'll probably be fixing the typos once I actually finish recording, but anyway, then we can export const fetch top fetch top headlines. Okay, async function, and I messed up again. Yeah, okay. Now we can give a const response. Okay, it's actually gotten it from, but go to their web page here. Go to top headlines and just copy out this one right here. This will give us the headlines which we want, and let me close everything here. Let me replace it with this one, and we can replace some things here. So we'll get a env variable. So import news API key from not .config, rather it is at env, and I'm getting an error because of TypeScript. So let's go back here. We'll have to create a new file called declaration.d.ts, and in here we'll say declare module at env export const news API key, which will be a string, and with that I think the error is gone. Okay, and then we can probably change this to a templated true, and then let me get rid of this and replace it with the env. So news API key, I think that's fine, that looks good. Next is the method. So method will be a get request, then okay, there seems to be error here. Okay, so now I can get the data from await response or JSON. Yeah, that's what I want. What's the mistake here? Just fine. Okay, fine. Prettier reformatted for me. So as you can see, the data, whatever we are getting the data, this will be getting an array of articles here. So let's get that articles now. So const articles data dot articles, and we can say give the type here. So article will be an array of article, and we can also return articles as article, an array of article. Save that, save everything, go back to index.tsx, and let's get the data here. So let's go here, let me just space this a little bit and go const data from use query from React query and you'll have to provide with some things. So inside the object, create a query key. So this is just a name for the request which I'm making, so I'll just call it as top headlines. And let's see what, so this won't be a question mark, it will be a query function. Let me just, okay, so first one is a query key and the next one is a query function. So query function, which will be the this right here, this fetch response which we just created. Fetch headline, fetch top headlines, and we'll get some other properties. So let's get that as well. So is loading, and we'll need error, and also we'll need a refetch. Save everything and let's console log out the data to see whether I'm getting something, and let's see whether it's making the fetch request for us. I think no query client set, use query client provider to set one. Okay, let me see what happened. Go to layout, query client provider. Okay, let me just restart my server. So I've made a lot of configuration changes, so let's just restart and see what happens. Okay, fine. It's my emulator. I'll just, oops, let me close that. Okay, and let me open my emulator here. That should open it up for us. It's building it. Okay, let's see. No query client set. Okay, so we're getting the same error now. That's weird. If you're doing, let me go back to index.tsx, check what's we are taking use query. Okay, I think this is the problem. It should be at tank stack react query, and now let me save and see what happens. Okay, now it's working. We are basically getting all the data. So if you remember, initially when we were installing the react query, we installed the other dependency, like not the tank stack one, we just installed the react query. So that was the issue. So we're getting the data now. Now we could probably start rendering it out to our components. So instead of console logging it here, oops, sorry about that, here I will say data, and this will also be data. Save that, and yeah, now we can see the changes being reflected here. So let me get rid of my terminal, and next step what we'll do is the refreshing feature, which is basically when I pull this down it should refresh. So in order to do that, let's go to scroll view. Inside here there's an attribute called the refresh control, and in here you'll have to provide it with the component called refresh control from React Native with self-closing tag, and we provide it a refreshing. Okay, I need to give it refreshing. This is, we didn't create this yet. Refreshing, and on refresh, yeah, this is what one, and we have to create a function called on refresh. So now let's create the state, this state and this function. So let me go on top here and create that use state snippet, call it refreshing set refreshing. This will be coming from React, and this will be false initially. Next is the function, so on refetch. Okay, let's rename this to on refetch. On refetch. Oh, so on refetch, this will be, actually no, we'll, in order to optimize this, let us create on refetch. This will be coming from use callback function. So if you don't know what use callback is, it basically optimizes things for us. It saves it in this data, and only when it needs to change, it changes. It's a little slightly different than use effect function. It will be an async function. This will be giving a callback function. I'll have to import this. Let me go to React, use callback. Okay, it's done. It's giving me an error because you have to provide a dependency array. Okay, so, and inside here I can set refreshing to true, and I don't want your suggestion right now. And also we'll take the refetch from here, and dot then after the refetch is made, I want you to set refreshing to false. Okay, and what's the error? Let's see what the error is. There's a closing bracket, another one. Okay, I'll save everything, and if I, okay, so now it's a refreshing. You cannot see the changes being made because I think the data which News API provides us is like 1 day before, not the current current news. It's the day before news. Okay, next up we'll change if is loading, return, let's say activity indicator. So basically loading state activity indicator, and if there is an error, let's just return a text of error. I'm going to console log the data out. I think I'll just give it something a little more descriptive. Something went wrong. Save everything, go back to my emulator. No errors, good. Now let us create routes for this. So if I click on general, right now we get an error called unmatched route because this doesn't exist yet. So in Expo, if you want to create a route, what you do is under app we create a new file, and basically that creates a new route for us. So if you're familiar with Next.js, this works the same way. So but we want is a dynamic route. So we'll create a folder called news, and inside that under brackets we create category.tsx, and let me RAFCE it, and let me call this category, and let's render out a text called category. This will be coming from React Native. And text. We save this, go to general, we still get an unmatched route. See why that is. If I go back to components, categories, scroll up and remove this and see. Let's see now. business. Okay, so now we are getting the categories: general, health. Okay, so now the problem was basically that slash, you don't give that slash. So now let's start building out this component. Let me open this editor, close everything out, start from a clean. Okay, actually before starting we'll create an API endpoint. So fetch news by category .ts. Copy this. I can copy this out, paste it right here, and make changes in here. So let's see what changes we'll be making. So if you go to their docs here, and if I go to source, you can you can search by category in here. So you can probably just go scroll down, copy this, go back here and paste it right here. This will be a template literal. We can change this to our env variable, and the source will be business. This will be category, and this will be getting it from here. We'll be sending it. So category, which will be a string, and source API key. And you, for some reason there's a mistake here, you'll have to give a ampersand here, or else you'll get an error. Oops. And method get const data, fine. Okay, and this won't be articles anymore, this will be sources. While building this application, I made that mistake. Like I was calling in, I was taking in articles from data, but it was actually sources. So if I go here, it's sources. It took me about an hour to figure this out. I was unsure of what mistake I was making. So, and this will be an array of source. We'll have to import that source, and this will also be sources. So, and with that we've created our endpoint. We don't need this. Now we can start building out our component. Okay, so in here let's have, I think we can just copy out our index. So this right here we can copy, we can make changes accordingly. Here be getting a bunch of errors now. Import this from React Native, stack is from routes, scroll view from React Native, refresh controls from React Native. You can also copy in some other things as well, which is basically, I think, all of this here. Copy this, paste it right here, and import use state, import use query, and this time from tank stack query, not from React query. And this will be since we're passing in something, fetch by category. Isn't it coming a fetch news by category? It's not coming for some reason. Am I exporting it? Yes. Okay, I didn't change the name, so fetch news by, good thing I saw that, category. Now it should pop up here, fetch news by category, and we'll have to pass in something. So that something will be a category which will be a string. So in order to get that category, what we can do is you can get the params from I'll destructure it from use what's it called, use search params. Okay, if I'll cancel out the category so that you guys can see, but I won't run it now because we'll get an error. I'll import this as well, activity indicator, colors, this will be an okay, so this we don't want a search, rather menu icon. We need something else, so let me go here and go to expo vector icons. I want something else, so let's say go back, and let's use this one. I'll copy this out, paste it right here, and I'll take in this as well. So copy this and paste it right here. Arrow back name, and this will be white, and this will be actually will do the same thing here, search. Fine. Next is on press. That did all our, no, we still have to do this part as well. So this time be a scroll view. Let's have a view here, and just put this in here. We don't need AllNews, we don't need this. I'll import this. We'll create a new component, some called CategoryNews instead. Okay, and let's create some can save this now. I think let's save everything, see whether we are getting something. Okay, now we are getting some changes being made here. Cool. Next, I think we can start by giving some styles to this. So fonts, styles, stylesheet.create. Let's go on top and bring it in here. Where's React Native? Yeah, style sheet, and let me scroll back down. We need a container, and in there we'll have a height 100%, and also scroll view. Scroll view will be an object, so the comma here. Okay, so I'll give the style here, style styles dot container, and scroll view, say content container style dot scroll view. Fine. Now in here 100%, let's give a background color. Again, I forgot the comma. Background color will be colors dot zinc dot 900, and scroll view flex row of 1. Save everything. Now we're getting something here. Next, actually, we'll create the component called CategoryNews. So let's come in here, new file, CategoryNews.tsx rafc. We create a view here, remove that. This will be coming from native. View, and let's go back to category here. We'll bring in that category. Okay, I think that was the wrong component. It was category news, and we'll pass in the news as the data. So now we're getting an error because where is it? Category news here. Let's start creating this now. So we'll be receiving some props. So let me actually minimize this. It's kind of bothering me. And I'll resize this. Cool. Yeah. So I'll destructure news, and it'll be the type will be source, an array of source. And let's console log out the news. Save everything, open my terminal, and you can see that it's the logs are being made. So this is since this is the first one, category is news. Okay, there's one more change that I want to make. If I go here, instead of news, let's give in the category. Should change now, business. Yeah. So we are getting the business news right now. So now let's start creating this. Let me go to categories. I'll actually copy this out, paste it right here, go back here, copy this out, paste it right here, and bring in style sheet as well. Style sheet. Okay, so now instead of flat list, let us bring something else. So we don't need this actually. What is the point of copying that? Yeah, news.map item. Am I missing in the bracket somewhere? Okay, news.map item, and inside here we'll have a touchable opacity. We'll have a view, and inside the view, before I forget, let me give it the style as well. Styles dot. Okay, I'll have to change this then. Let's change this. Let's go with this first. List container. This will be article info container. Remove this out. Article info container, article info, and names. Then is the description. Next is the country. I think that's all. Save everything, and instead of styles top button, it'll be list container. Next, we'll also need a key. So this time I think we can give it the item.id we have, and on press, just correct that, on press I want to push it. Router dot push. Again, we didn't create this. Router dot push to item dot URL. Now let's create this. Let me close my terminal and create that variable. Use router. Yeah, so the error is gone. Next is the view. We need a text as well, and it's style. Okay, we have to bring in this now. So text, and say the text will render out the item name dot name. This will be, save it. We're getting something here, we can't see it, I guess. Styles dot article info container text. Again, style will be names, not article info. And then we need another view. Inside the view, let's have a text again called author. Save it, and again give it some styles. Styles dot article info. Yeah, that's what I want. Next is, actually this should be description, I think. Yeah, description, text, style. Is this? Okay, I think this is what we wanted. Item dot description. Give an author as well here. We're getting something here. Then next is item dot country and styles dot country. I think with that everything is done. Yeah, now let's beautify it a bit. So flex direction is column, row, and flex direction is row. Padding is 4, gap is 6, and that's fine. Article info. Okay, let's put some background color so that you can see better. Colors dot gray dot 100. Okay, much better. Gray 100. Then we could flex 1. Then flex direction. Let's give it a column. Column padding of 4. Border radius of, let's say, 10. Okay, that looks better. Article info, margin top. Let's give it a auto, so that's pushed down. Margin top, and font style, forgot a comma. Font style of italic, and font style of italic. Next is the names. Font weight, bold, and font size. Font size dot text MD is MD. Let's give it a base. okay, text and base and padding horizontal of 2. Next, the description, margin top of 6, font size of let's say text XS extra small, and font weight of 500. Save everything. Okay. And finally the country, margin top let's say 4, font size of text XS, and color colors of gray 600. Okay, so this is what we got. Nice. So our category is also done. If I click back, okay, it's not working. Let me check what the problem is. Go to category.tsx. No, I can arrow. Okay, it's because let me. Okay, so when I click this, I should go back. So to do that, on press, I can say router dot back, and I have to create that now. So let's create it right here. Save that. If I click, I go back. It's nice. Okay, there's some problem here. If I go here, fine. Go to general, it renders this out. Okay, this suddenly there's a problem here. Let me go check that. What's up with that? Index.tsx. I think that is because of headline, launch data. Everything seems to be correct. Let me just go here, disconnect the server, just restart it so that everything is, just to double check whether everything is working properly, or is it the problem of Expo. So open, give us the emulator. It's building. Okay, so this is not a mistake. It was Expo's. There was some issues with Expo, and if I go here, we get in a category also. Okay, there's a getting an error. Let me check what that is all about. Category. So let's just see what it's saying. Injection ID. Okay, fine. I think it should be somewhere. Let's go to index. Let's go to categories here. Flat. Okay, yeah. So whenever you're using flat list, you'll also you'll also have to provide a key extractor to this. So it's item. This is like an ID for it to identify what is going on, what is being rendered. So I think with that our error should be gone. Let's see, I'll refresh it. Okay, so now that error is basically gone. Cool. Okay, so next step is, let's see what else. Okay, next let's create the driver component. So right now it's just the menu. we'll create the drawer component next. So in order to do that, let me again close everything, close my terminal as well, so that looks better. Let me open Mozilla. Let's go here, expo drawer, and let's go here, drawer expo router. So in order to use this now, let's go to drawer navigations. We'll have to create a component called drawer.tsx. So let's go here, component, new file, drawer.tsx, and let's just copy this, paste it right here. React navigation. Okay, I'm probably have to install this as well. Open a new instance of my terminal. Okay, mpmi at react navigation drawer. Okay, so till that's being done, let's see what else we need. Next is go to app.layout here, and instead of stack, we'll have to render out the drawer. So yeah, right here. So import drawer. I'll just copy this out, paste it right here, import this from our components. Yeah, and like we can start giving the different screens. I'll clear this also out. So the first our first screen. Okay, let me just save this and show what we are getting. So if I click and drag, we are getting something right here. So this is what draw screen does. It creates a navigation to each pages. So the first one is index, which is our root, and this is basically to rename it to home, and the title, which is overview. Next up is we're getting an error because this route doesn't exist. Ours is news, and bracket is category, news category options. So the drawer label will be general news, and we can probably give the title also general news, and we'll give a style as well. So drawer style, change the background color to something more accurate to what we are building. So colors dot zinc dot, let's give it 800 shade, and drawer again, drawer inactive, background, inactive tint color rather, will be white. We can give the same thing in here, and title is fine, and we'll have to give it a initial params, so that when we click this, there's a params for the use query to fetch data from. So the params will be search, let's say not search, sorry, it will be category general. Yeah, if I save everything, should, yeah, now it looks better. So again, this initial params is, if I go to categories here, not here, inside CategoryNews, here. So it requires params here, as you can see. So when I give it the params as general, here it will be general, and will fetch data in here, fetch news by category. It gives general and fetches the data of general news, and we render it out basically. So that's done. Our drawer component is done. But now when I click, I want that to open. So let's configure that as well. Go to index, and in here, we don't need this anymore. let's create a new constant called nav and use navigation from expo router, and then in here menu, instead of console logging out the menu, we have nav.dispatch something called drawer action. Probably have to import that action.open drawer. Where does this come from? It should, okay, so drawer action comes from, let's see, I don't quite remember where it comes from, so let's ask Google. Drawer actions React navigation. I think it comes from React navigation. Let's go here. Yeah, it comes from React navigations. Let's import this. That should, if I save everything, go back here, if I click it now, this appears. Okay, now the fine, okay, so now because of that, this is also saved for us. I mean, that problem which we were having, that is also fixed because we are using drawer now. So now let's, the last part is to do the search feature now. So let's do that. So let's head over to our search component in here. So this is already fixed. As you can see here, it's already fixed. We don't have that problem anymore. Now we have to push the screen. Okay, toggle. So router dot, okay, I have to import the router as well. So let's bring in our router. Use router, and now we can push the user to the screen. So router dot push search, yeah, okay, so we push it there. We get this from here. There's a slight error. Let's see what happened. Okay, it's probably because of the closing braces. Save that, and we need an additional check also. So if the user doesn't search anything, if the whatever the user searches, there's nothing in there, I don't want to, I mean, push the user to that search page. So if I go here, and let me actually first console log and show you what I mean. So let's console log out search, save that. Okay, so I initially click it, there's nothing logged out here, and if I say camera and I hit search, it logs out camera, because again the second time we hit the search prompt, this like second time when we hit this feather icon, this is again run and it checks, and this is basically true, and it console logs the text out here, and we close the toggle and we clear the search as well. So that's what we are doing, but instead we'll be pushing the search the user to this page right here. So if I click and hit unmatched route, because that route doesn't exist anymore, let me go back to home. Fine. Now let's create that route. So app, not news, will be called search, be a search folder, and in the brackets search dot tsx, enter. And then for this page, we could probably copy out the same thing here. So I'll just copy this here, paste it right here, and change this to search, this instead of be double, it will be one folder up again. Let's just what's there. Let me see. Okay, it's probably because the same name or what. Let's search page. Now the error is gone. This will also be search page. Now let's make some changes. Okay, so we are basically fetching the top headlines now. It should be something else. So let's go back here, API, create new file, fetch news by search.ts, and we can probably copy the same thing. So copy this, paste it right here, and we may change this to fetch news by search. This will be getting a string, search string, and if I go to our API, you can search for news articles. So, and this is the endpoint right here. Copy that, paste it right here, and this time instead of API, again we'll change this to ours. So in news API key, and instead of not popularity, it should be something else. Search everything endpoint reference. Okay, yeah, so everything, this is the endpoint, not that one. So everything Q Bitcoin. So instead of actually, you know what, I'll just copy this so that there's no error. Copy this, paste it right here. Again, I'll probably have to change it. To news API key, and instead of Bitcoin, it will be search H. That's fine, and everything else remains the same. Should be H. Okay, and now instead of this, let's say remove this out. This will be a string, fetch news by search. We'll have to give it the search as string, and the search will be getting it from const search from use path name. What is the error? Okay, I think let's go back to categories, or rather CategoryNews, search. It's called use search params, not it's not called use path name, it's use search params. Yeah, and I think rest everything remains the same. I'll save everything, go back here, I'll say camera, I hit again, should push me to that page now. Okay, so it changed, yeah, so it pushed me to that page. It's a bit slow. I can actually stop the server, I'll rerun it so that all that cache is cleared, and you can see the final app. I'll start the server one last time. I'll clear everything because I'm confident that it will work. Hopefully I don't regret that. I open the iOS emulator. It's building our project. Okay, so it's fetched the data for us. We can go to general. It fetches the general data for us. I'll go back, refresh this, and I'll try searching it now. So camera, and hit search. Okay, I think I probably have to change some other thing. Yeah, so I was wrong. This instead we can do some changes here. So instead of header, title, news, search results for search news, so that we can identify that we are in a new page. Right, save that. Okay, and if I click this right now, this is the color scheme is off. So if I go head over to layout, I copy this, paste it right here, and this will be search. This will be search, draw label, search, search, and initial params. If the user clicks it here, let's just send him to Bitcoin, hot topic. Let's see. Okay, so if I hit search, should refetch it to Bitcoin. And let's go back to home first. Yeah, so news. It changed. Let me search Bitcoin now. Bitcoin, and let me search. Yeah, now it's working properly. We just had to configure that last part. So now everything seems to be working properly. I can go to business. Actually, when I'm searching, I'll go back. Let's go to search TSX. You don't need to render the categories. Don't need that. Again, let's do the same thing. When it comes to news, I'm very oblivious. I don't know what is going on around the world. I don't want to know also. Search. Okay, this is probably because we're making too many fetch requests. Okay, one last time. I quit the server. One last time, let's have a final check to see whether this is working application. We made all the changes we need to, and let's open an emulator. Let me know how you find React Native, whether you like it, whether you love it. There's a massive difference in opinion when it comes to React Native. I personally enjoy it. It makes building applications very easy. Okay, so we have our news. We go to business, get to my business news, go back, refresh this news. Our drawer is working. I'll go to camera, hit search, and search results of camera. Should change any moment now, and yeah, we get our camera page. Go to home. It goes to the home page, and it should change now. Yeah, it changes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Okay, I'm getting an error. Let me check what the last error is. Each I'll check the render method of category news. Okay, let's see. Key item not ID. Yeah, I'm providing it I'm giving it an ID. Key item dot ID, which it seems to be working properly. Category news. Yeah, that error is gone. Just have to save. So now let's deploy our application. So let me terminate my server and just hit expo publish. Expo publish. Yeah. Now to just hit enter. Yes. This will install expo updates for us. So this is what I got after hitting expo publish. It built the JavaScript bundle, and if you want to see the manifest page and project page, click the second link and it should, yeah. So with that, your application, you can download your application here, just scanning this QR code. But in your case, you might get a different prompt saying that you have to log in or sign up. Because I've already signed up before, it straight away build the project for me. But in your case, you'll have to build the project. You'll have to log in, and then it'll build it for you. And you can ask your users to download this QR code, and you can use your app.